Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists Podcast with me, Gavin Cook.
And me, Jackson White.
And this evening we've got Nathan, Mr. Bag and Tag Jones on the show. So Nathan is a MMA fighter and coach in kickboxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're interested to understand what the Mr. Bag and Tag frame is from his profile, but I'm sure we'll delve into that shortly. So welcome on the show today, Nathan.
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on during lockdown.
It's another time for us. It's great, Nathan, because it means we can catch people because they've got nowhere to go.
Yeah,
because they're all locked in.
Everyone's
so
exactly.
I'm going to kick off with the first question then, Nathan. And so really just want to let our listeners and our audience know a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, your background, your schooling, and ultimately how you got into martial arts.
I'm 33, born and bred in London, based in Richmond. I've been doing martial arts for about 10 years now, and I kind of started off as like an accident, really. I didn't grow up doing martial arts or anything. I was in a low point in my life, poor health, bad relationships, kind of thing, and something needed to change. And I started following the Yes Man philosophy. It's a book, it's a film, and basically, cut a long story short, you got to say yes to everything. Well, not everything, but like most things. There are exceptions, and I just had a friend that was going down to the gym. He's like, "Oh, do you want to come along?" So I was like, "Yes." Went to the session and enjoyed it. They said, "Oh, do you want to sign up? Do you want to come again?" I was like, "Yes." And then they kept on asking me questions, and I kept on saying yes. And then before you know it, they were like, "Oh, do you want to fight?" Months down the line, "Oh, Nathan, you're doing good, and do you want to fight?" So I was like, "Yeah, when?" Then I thought about it afterwards, like, what did I just say yes to? But I look back, and the rest is history. I've just carried on going down the path, and always strive to go bigger and better. And martial arts went from something that I did as a something new, trying something new, went to a hobby, and then went to a way of life as such, and I've turned it into a profession. And I love it. I've just carried on going, really.
I think having that outlook on life of saying yes to everything holds you in good stead. I mean, I know certainly it's something that me and Jackson do a lot, is put ourselves out of our comfort zone a lot, and this podcast was no different for us, really. When we first started it, it was like, why are we doing this? But you're right. The more you say yes to people, the more you start getting used to saying yes. I think it was Socrates, wasn't it? I think it was Socrates that originally came up with this theory. I think it's called the Socratic method. I think again it talks about. I've got a sales background. That's how I know. I'm sure I heard it on some sales course.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. So I'm just rolling with it. I'm like nodding here. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. You're just saying yes. You're saying yes in your mind.
Exactly.
Okay, just jumping back one stage then, Nathan. So talk us to your first martial art. What was it that you participated in?
To be honest, it was just MMA. I went to the session, and it was a bit of grappling with a bit of stand up, and we just called it MMA. And as I've gone further through and focused and pursued my competitions and fights and stuff, then I've specialised in it, and I do kickboxing and I do jiu-jitsu as my fortes as such. Mm-hmm. But literally I just started everything at once. Didn't have a pedigree, and You know, just dived in feet first, because for me, I was a late bloomer. Mm-hmm. Well, I felt I was a late bloomer. I started at 23. You know,
yeah, it is late though, isn't it? Really, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well,
you compare it to like football and boxing, and you know, at 14, 15, they've already highlighted which of their youths are going to go on and do you know what I mean, and be nurtured to do whatever, you know. But MMA, I think I call it an old man sport, you know, because you're never too old. And mm-hmm. you look at the UFC and Bellator, you see the upper crust, and their average age is my age. Do you know what I mean? I'm 33 now, so I started at a good time. But at the time I started, I thought I was too old. So I was like, right, cool, I'm gonna give it everything and go full steam ahead, because I was enjoying learning. I was enjoying the benefits of martial arts and you know, competition and all the other positive things that come with it, you know. So
it's funny, Nathan, you should say that you were too old, because I think that's something that stops so many people from achieving a dream. It's funny because I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you also follow Gary V.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's one thing that he says a lot. You know, he says, you know, when he's doing a lot of these deals, and when he's doing, you know, he's meeting a lot of these entrepreneurs. You know, there's people in their 80s that are starting new businesses that are like, yeah, I'm going to launch this product in the next 10 years' time. It's like, well, you're in your 80s, but they've got that way of life, and they've got that mindset that they don't.
No, 100%.
They never stop. And I think it's so easy, isn't it? I mean, I'm 40, just turned 46 yesterday, and it'd be easy for me to think, well, I'm 46. You know, I'm too old to take that up, but you can't. You've got to think, actually, you know, I'm still young enough to achieve so much. There's so many more things I want to achieve in my life, and you've got to have that mindset, haven't you?
Yeah, without a doubt. By the way, I don't know why Gary V's not following back, by the way.
You don't know. He follows me. He calls me every other day. Can't get him off the phone.
but no, you're right, and you hit the nail on the head. You know, all these guys, you're never too late to do anything. And what I've learned through my journey is, if you want it, go get it. The only thing that's holding you back is yourself. You know,
taking action.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's that saying that you've seen it. I don't know what movie it is on, but these like Hollywood like martial art films, and you know, he was like, I swear to God, I can't remember it was right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, there's a scene in this film. Maybe you guys can help me out. He's like, look in the mirror. Yeah, you know, your toughest opponent is yourself. And it's so cliche, but it is true. do you know what I mean? You are your own worst enemy, and you can talk yourself into talk yourself out of a lot of things. But one thing that I've found with my martial arts, or put myself out there with my martial arts, is that you can talk yourself into a lot of things as well. You know what I mean? And I dare myself, you know, because why not? And exactly, whenever I say that, why not? I can never really have an answer to it, and because I don't know.
Absolutely right. And I think having that lack of fear of failure, because ultimately that's what a lot of people have. You know, if they're scared to put themselves out there for what people might say, for what they might not achieve, and that's the easy option, isn't it? Or actually, if you go, do you know what? I don't care what people think. I'm going to give it a go. I don't care if I fail. I'll learn from that. And then 9 times out of 10. It's that fear of the unknown. And then, but once you've done it, you know, you've done it. It's not unknown anymore, is it? So, you know, that fear goes very, very quickly.
No, exactly.
As you mature, you get that experience. And certainly you mentioned the maturity of the MMA fighters. And I think it's that level of maturity that you need in that full contact sport, where actually you don't know what's going to happen when you get in that ring, but you've built up that experience. So, you know, at the end of the day, you're either going to win the fight, you're going to get knocked out, or you might get hurt. As long as you're prepared for that, you know, it's not unknown anymore, is it?
No, exactly. And that's the way I look at it. I look at it as either I'm going to win, which I want to do, or I'm not going to win. And like nothing, like I've done all this training in the gym, you know what I mean? I've put myself through the limits, and the training's always the harder part. you know, the fight's the fun part. Do you know what I mean? And it's about constantly putting yourself out there, learning and getting used to the pressure, getting used to that unknown. That helps us develop as people. And I think that's why I'm such an advocate for teaching martial arts to young people, for those same very reasons. You know?
That sounds good. So talk us through then you go to the gym. Which skill do you favour? Do you prefer the ground side or do you prefer the stand-up strike side?
You know what? Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. I actually prefer standing up, but the gloves are so small in MMA. You fight in 4-ounce gloves, and it hurts like hell. So as soon as I get hit, I'm like, right, we're going to the ground, right. And I end up on the ground. And you look at my record, and it's like submissions all the way through, you know. So I've got something like 10 submissions and 1 TKO. Do you know what I mean? So I'm on my record, I'm a ground guy, but when you look at my style, I'm always happy to stay on the feet, you know. But that's the beauty about MMA. You just got to stay well-rounded. I see it as the ultimate form of competition because it can go so many different ways, you know. So really, it just depends. Like rock, paper, scissors. It depends who I'm fighting against, and whatever they're good at, I'll try and do something else.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but no, it's all good. You got to be prepared for everything.
So talk us through the your first fight. So how did that go for you?
Yeah. Well, can I talk you through 2 fights? I'll talk you through my first amateur fight, and then I'll talk you through my first pro fight. So my first
what I really want to know is, what is that first time you stepped onto the mat, the ring, or into the cage? That very first time. I just want to know how you felt, how you reacted, and how it went. Yeah.
So after about 9 months of training, saying yes to everything, turning up to the gym, getting my ass handed to, it was time to step into the cage. And I remember being so scared because I'm not a fighter, you know. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Has been my ethos, like growing up and stuff. And I would never put myself out there for altercations and stuff. So it's not really my thing, or it wasn't my thing, shall I say? And I was so scared, and the medic was doing my medical, and I was praying to God like that my blood. My heart rate was too high, so I didn't have to fight, you know. I was like, please, I don't want to fight. And I was just thinking of all these reasons why I didn't want to fight. And then I saw my opponent. He was all tattoos, everything, skinhead. He was ugly as hell, and he looked scary. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified. But
it was of a fighter and not a lover then.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know, like, and I was just so blurred. I remember this, the feeling. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because I remembered it. And then all of a sudden, it was fight, and I heard, you know what I mean. And then I heard the cage, and it was fight. The guy came at me, and I just went into like autopilot. Everything, you know what I mean. Again, you see it in these martial art films. It all just clicks together, and it kind of just clicked together and. Well, in my head it clicked together, and then I see the fight. Yeah. I watch the fight back now, and I'm like, oh my god, my technique was shoddy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but do you know what? Do you not think that when all is said and done, once you get in there, you know, I'm a fighter, I fight at international level, and there's times I've been nervous as hell. I draw back, I get there, I'm sitting around the mat or the ring, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'm nervous. You touch those gloves, when that bell goes, you're in the zone. You're in the zone. You don't hit, you know. Fighters say you don't hear anything but the coach, that one voice that you've tuned into for those months and months of training, and everything else is instinctively, and that's why you rely on your training so heavily to get those instincts out.
No, for sure. The way I look at it is like, you know, like you look at spiders, you look at snakes, they're their most dangerous when they feel threatened. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel. Like, well, that's how I felt, and I always tried to embrace that feeling of, well, I could get hurt right now. So it's either you or me, and you're coming at me. So it's on, you know? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I love it. With hindsight, I love it. You know what I mean? At the time, I can think of everywhere else that I'd rather be. But then, you know what I mean? When I touch those gloves, I can't think of anywhere else where I would want to be. You know, I love it. And when it came to my first professional fight...
Well, hang on, don't jump forward just yet. So how did that first fight go?
Oh, yeah. I won that. Standard.
Yeah.
Too easy.
No. I won that with the guillotine. Yeah. I don't know.
So what did you learn from it? So you said you went in there, you were absolutely petrified, saw a guy, skinhead, bad tattoos, and it made you even more fearful. What did you take away from that fight?
I took away to trust the process. I trusted my coaches. I trusted the training. I trusted the path that I was on, that I just said yes to everything. And then when I came out of that fight afterwards, I felt relieved, because it was like a challenge to myself. I was unhappy in my life. And then all of a sudden, I've become a fighter. You know, like my mum was cursing me. She was like, "What are you doing this fight for?" I said, "But mum, you wanted me to do martial arts." She said, "I said do self-defense, not have a cage fight." do you know what I mean? But I look back and I was like, wow, I'm happy. You know, I've got myself involved in a sport that is good for my health. I've got a new set of friends, which has become like a family. I'm in a different community now, you know, out of like bad influences. And I just realised, well, the process of saying yes has led me to this path that I wouldn't have found if I had said no, because I wouldn't want to have done it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, all that, the other negative experiences that I've had at school, being teased, being bullied, it was just like a big, massive 2 fingers up to those people, you know? Because it's like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I'm the man. And that's exactly how I felt. Like, you know what I mean? And then I booked another fight. You know?
Talk to us about those days then, Nathan. So we've not really touched on your upbringing as such. Obviously, we sort of jumped straight into your fighting career, if you like. So talk us about, you know, before you got into martial arts, and those, you know, what you maybe went through that was the sort of the catalyst, I suppose, to make you start going down that path. And, you know, talk to us maybe about, you know, like you say, you got bullied, and, you know, how did that all come about, and, you know.
No, for sure. So I never really fitted in anywhere. You know, I always seemed to be different. You know, I was a working class boy. Like, I lived in a working class area, but I went to a middle class school. And so whenever I was at school, I was always seen to be a bit rough, or like unkempt around the edges kind of thing. And when I was, you know, at home, I was always seen to be a bit uppity because of the way I spoke or what I was up to kind of thing. So I never fitted in anywhere. Through all the years, experienced teasing, experienced bullying, discrimination at various points. And I look back now, it wasn't like I can just brush it off like water off a duck's back. But at the time, it really affected me, and it affected my confidence. It affected my self-esteem. And I became a confident young boy. From being a confident young boy to being not confident, the complete opposite. Do you know what I mean? Like, head down, shrugged shoulders, didn't really want to get involved in things. And then I tried to, with peer pressure, try to, you know, fit in, and just went from being a high achiever at school to just hanging out and, yeah, just not really doing what I needed to be doing, and just found myself in a low spot where I wasn't happy and stuff. And then, yeah, I just had to buck up, because I remember finishing my A levels, not getting what I should have got, and like having to skimp and scrape, and just to get in, like, into the uni. But it was like my third choice or something like that, and it wasn't a great uni for what I was capable of, and that was just like, you know. And I look back, and it was because I wasn't doing things for me. I was doing things to try and please other people, try to get friends, kind of thing.
Sure.
And just through martial arts, I felt that I didn't have to do things to please people. I could do things for me, and everything I was doing was for me. And I had a team around me who I was training with, my coaches, helping me to be the best that I could be. And the journey
and that's important, isn't it? I think, you know, if you're not lucky enough as a youngster, you know, a 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old boy, girl, if you're not lucky enough to find a mentor, ultimately, that's what it is. That's what your team is, isn't it? They're a team of mentors. You know, if you're on your own and you're feeling isolated, you know, teenagers, they don't really talk to their parents. They talk to their friends, or if you're lucky enough to have a mentor through martial arts or through a sport, I think that's a huge advantage. And personally, if you don't have that mentor, things can become very difficult because you don't get to draw on other people's experiences or advice.
No, exactly.
That's what that mentor is. And I think through martial arts and certainly through sports, you can find those mentors that are there to give you that support or group support.
100%, 100%. And that's why I do what I do, you know. And before fighting, I was a youth worker, and I've tried to keep my youth work within me when I'm doing my martial arts. So I still actively teach young people, still try and do like the important lessons that mentor should give, you know, and it's invaluable. Not just to me, but for the young people, not necessarily today or tomorrow, but that somewhere down the line it'll click and they'll be like, oh, that's what Nathan was trying to tell me.
Yes, yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
And you have everything you do for these kids, again, you know, they take it away. And even if only one little piece of it sinks in, you've made a difference to that child, haven't you, through the medium of martial arts. And that's
100%.
And as martial arts instructors, as we all are, I mean, like I say, I've just been doing my Zoom class with a bunch of kids this evening, and they still tune in, even though I can't see them flesh to flesh. And in the dojang, they still tune in, and I still, you know, we still have a little chat at the end. I talk to them about what they did at school, and just having that, like you say, having that communication with them. And I know, you know, that, you know, there'll be a little piece of me that stays with them through the martial arts that I've given them, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
But we're quite privileged, really. And I think the job that we do as martial arts instructors is quite an important one, because it's, you know, again, if it's not delivered in the right way, it can also set kids up for the wrong path in life, can't it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, and that's why I love doing it, because I'm always learning and not so much correcting myself, but I'm always learning how to, even if I don't do a great job, I'm learning how to do it better. Or if I'm struggling, I'm always improving, you know, and reflecting upon my practice to help my delivery. And you know, I'm not the finished article. And with martial arts, the lessons martial arts teaches, we never will be. We're always seeking for enlightenment, always trying to get better, you know. And
well, we never know everything, for sure, you know.
No, exactly.
I mean, and certainly for me, I suppose. I mean, me and Jackson, we've always been Taekwondo people. That's what we've done. I know Jackson was in the military, so obviously he sort of did a lot of other stuff in the military. But for me, it's always been stand-up, always been Taekwondo. And I suppose it's only until I'm reaching that sort of point in my life now, I'm thinking, well, maybe I should start having to go at something else. Maybe I should learn a bit of jiu-jitsu, or maybe I should have a go at Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But then there's the other bit of me thinks, I just want to sit around eating cake, watching Netflix. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a hard choice. But just say yes, you know what I mean?
What, to Netflix and cake?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a step back then. So let's go back through your first. So tell us how you went from an amateur MMA fighter. What was that journey to becoming a professional?
You know what, right? It was actually relatively short. I turned pro after 2 years of training, just because I thought, you know, F this. Like, why am I putting all my hard-earned time and effort, and the risks? I'm facing the same risks, you know. And I just saw these guys fighting professionally, and I was thinking, I can beat you. You're not better than me. And I just saw it as a rule set, as opposed to a skill set, you know. And at the time, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, because I went pro after 2 years, I was right. But I look now, and the pedigree of amateurs is completely different to what it was, you know. So if I was fighting now, I would have taken longer at amateur. But I was just thinking to myself, the risks are real. I'm facing the same risk. Okay, the rule set's slightly different, but I can beat you, you know. And people were, I would say, oh yeah, you know, I'm fighting, and they want to come to I'm trying to sell them a ticket to my fight. I'm telling them, oh, it's £30, it's £50. What? Oh, for that money, I can go and see so-and-so fight, and they may be a professional or whatever. And I'll be like, yeah but, you know what I mean? This is how much the tickets cost. So I just thought, you know what? If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to be I believed in myself, and I believed in myself enough to put myself out there. I was watching people, and I was like, look, I'm this level, and if I'm going to get that belt, then I need to step up. So I just thought, you know what? I'm going to do this. And some say I went a bit too quick. I know people that, like my coaches, when they were training, there wasn't a semi-professional level. There wasn't an amateur level. They just went straight to pro, you know. I was fortunate to have the amateur experience. So I had 5 amateur fights, 5 amateur MMA fights. I had 5 white-collar boxing fights. I must have competed about 5 or 6 times in jiu-jitsu as well. So I thought I had enough experience. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. So I stepped up, had a professional fight. And for the same reason, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to say yes. You know, and I saw the fear, and I looked it straight in the eyes, and I just put myself out there. And that's probably one of the best things I could do, because I was absolutely scared. If I stopped to think about it, I would have talked myself out of it. But I I was like, you know what? Let's go. You know, and I lost the fight, but you look at the greatest fighters, with the exception of a select few. They've all lost. I'm talking about MMA. They've all lost. And
I think if you do you know what I think? If you say MMA, if you look across all combat sports, and you know we've had some of the UK's, and in fact some of the world's best martial artists on here. None of them stepped in and started winning everything from day one. It's a learning process, and you know, to understand the defeat, go back and analyze it next time, and you learn from that. So anyone that says to me, you know, oh, I've won every single fight and I've never lost, you know, I start raising an eyebrow. Yeah, exactly.
They've not been tested. So because I remember asking my coach, "Oh, am I ready? When will I be ready?" And he just said to me, "You'll never be ready." And I was like, "All right, cool, let's do this." You know, and it's the truth. Well, not that you'll never be ready, but I mean, there's always something else you can work on. So as long as who you're fighting is at the same level, roughly with the same experience or skill level, it's a good fight. It's a 50-50 fight. Then what have you got to lose? You know, in the early stages of your career, you're out there for the experience. And you know, I put myself out there, and I'm almost glad that I lost when I look back, because it taught, like you're saying, you learn from it, and it taught me the standard that I need to be, and I sharpened it up, and you know, I haven't looked back since. And
you never learn through winning, do you? You don't learn through winning. All it does is probably make you a little bit more cocky. You know, it's when you have a big defeat, that's when the real hard lesson comes in.
Yeah, but obviously, like, you don't want to have too many defeats. Like, you want to have more wins than defeats. Let's just get that clear, right?
Yeah,
it is about wins.
No, but it's not something. It's not something to.
There's no shame in losing.
No, exactly. Yeah, I think that's
especially when you can put your name to your performance. And as I've gone on to fight on bigger shows and fight tougher opponents, you know, I've done some sports psychology, and there is no shame in losing as long as you can put your name to your performance. Did you fight somebody of a good caliber? Were you able to demonstrate your skill set? Were you able to put into practice everything that you've worked towards? You know, because the fight is the crescendo. That's the fun part, you know. And every time that I can put my name to my performance, I've always come out that cage, win or lose, with a smile on my face, you know, because I've done everything, and I've represented who I am and where I come from, you know, and
you know what, that same mentality has to carry through into your life as well, doesn't it? You know,
no doubt.
I think that's the beauty of martial arts, is like I say, stepping in that ring or stepping on that mat and being able to come off and say, well, you know what, I did everything I could do. I tried my best. Next time I need to work a bit. I maybe need a bit more conditioning. I need to be getting out and running a little bit earlier, to increase my stamina or whatever you need to do. But it's being able to, you've got to take credit for the good and you've got to take credit for the bad. If you won,
and take responsibility for
and take responsibility, and that's something that I know we've talked about on the show, Jackie, quite a few times about, having this people with this victim mentality. Everything is someone else's fault, and if you're going to be successful in life, you can't have that. You've got to take responsibility for everything that you do in your life, whether it's good or bad, because that's how you can change it, isn't it? And that's how you can get better. And I think quite often it's having that martial arts mindset. That's one thing that martial art does teach you.
Yeah, it keeps you honest. There's no shortcuts, If you take a shortcut, you get found out somewhere along the line. So definitely keeps you honest, no matter who you are. There's no discrimination with that. You know what I mean?
Sure. So what's your favourite technique, Nathan?
Ooh.
Okay, give me your top three.
My top three. Okay, a Darce choke, which is jiu-jitsu, a rear naked choke, and a triangle. All chokes. That's what I like to do. I've got a few different setups that I like to do it from, and they're ones. But in terms of striking, I like to keep it simple. I don't like to be too flashy, because I like to use my striking to set up other things. So I've been in the gym working on a few things, and I just want the world to get back to normal so I can get back competing again to show everyone.
So I was going to ask you about that, because I suppose myself and Jackson have been quite lucky because we do Taekwondo. We're still, to a degree, being able to do something even now, even though it's lockdown. You can still go in the bag, go in the garage, and you can kick a bag, or you can punch a bag, or you can go in the gym. These jiu-jitsu people, it must be really tough for them. Because
it is.
You need a partner, and okay, you can use these dummies, but it's no substitute for having someone trying to choke you and everything else.
No, exactly.
It must, and it's like judo, isn't it? What's going to happen to judo? And judo, these sports have almost just been hit so hard, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm fortunate to be able to get elite status as a professional athlete. So I've got elite status. So I'm able to still train. I've got our team's got a support bubble and stuff.
Okay.
So we're sanctioned through the government. So that, for myself, it's all good. But for my students, my clients, it is difficult. And I think once the vaccine comes out and the infection rates go down, we'll be able to go back to bubble training, because that's what we're doing. Same, support bubbles, same households, get that training in. But you're right. It's been hugely affected, not just being able to practice, but people's own mental health and well-being. Routine. I felt it the first lockdown, and then I don't know, man. I just had to click my fingers and just be like, right, that's what I'm doing. And even if it was boring, like not going for a jog is boring, but I find it a bit boring as a substitute for like that physical contact, like.
It's not the same as having someone punching you in the face, is it? Or trying to punch you in the face,
No, exactly. But hey,
you can't even walk into a bar either and try it out then, because there's nowhere ever. All the pubs are shut.
Yeah, exactly. But look, we're all in this together. It's unprecedented. I'm just hoping this time next year that it would have been a memory, But fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's, all things being equal then, and the world getting back to some sort of normal. What's your dream then, Nathan? Where do you want to see you? I know you're still young, you're still in your prime, really. What's your goal? Is it Bellator or UFC? Or presumably they're normally the dreams, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, because I'm at a crossroads. I've been at a crossroads for a while. So in terms of my competition, I'd like to finish my career with a big payday on a show. I fought in Bellator before, so getting a fight on there or an equivalent would be great.
Sorry, Nathan. I just realised. What weight do you fight at normally then?
Welterweight.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what's that in kilograms?
77 kilos. So
Okay.
I walk around about 85, 87 kilos.
Yeah.
Before the cheesecake and stuff. Because lockdown, I've been eating a lot of cheesecake. But yeah, no, I compete at 77 kilos.
I can concur with that.
But yeah, I like to get on a big show. But it's not a prerequisite or a world title. You know, I was with the Cage Warriors. So get on a European stage, a world title there, or finish on a big world global show. It's not a problem. I'm also pursuing getting my black belt in jiu-jitsu. Well, I was on track for that this year before COVID. So fingers crossed.
Was that BJJ?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been grinding 10 years, and that's my goal. As a coach, you know, I want to finish competing, and then look to open up a school or some form of club. You know, I've been teaching a lot. I'm doing lots of youth groups and lots of projects, but I've kind of grown it to its capacity. And for it to grow anymore, I need to put all my eggs into that basket, kind of thing. And that can only be done. You know what I mean? It's just deserved. Is a full-time dedication. So yeah.
Well, you know what? You've got to have these dreams. You know, we had Mark Weir on the show a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you ever heard of Mark.
Yeah, I know Mark Weir.
Mark the Wizard. Well, he was a former Taekwondo international. We sort of, myself and Jackson, knew him back from sort of yesteryear when he was in his early 20s. Obviously, he moved over to mixed martial arts and had a couple of quite big fights in the UFC, and ultimately ended up training with the Iceman, Chuck Liddell. You know, it was pretty much his training partner over in Los Angeles for quite a time, and he's had a really, really good career. So you know what I mean? He's got to keep mustering on and wait and getting that break, I suppose, and keep winning, I suppose, ultimately.
Yeah. No, that's it. You know, never say never. You just got to show up for the opportunities. You know, say yes and show up. So,
one question: being a motivated martial artist, Nathan, what's been motivating you through this troubled year to continue training? What's been the motivation?
The first one being like my goals. You know, so the goals that I just said: get on a big show, have a big fight, get a title. That's always been my vision. So I'm still on course for that. But also, it's that saying: you're only as good as your last fight. Do you know what I mean? And my last fight was just before the first lockdown. Literally, like 2-3 days before the last lockdown. The first lockdown, and the show went. I sold about 100 tickets, and it went from 100 tickets to a closed event. And they relocated the show from London to Manchester, and this was all happening during fight week. So I fought a French guy, and where they were closing all the borders down, like Europe was a little bit ahead of the UK. I didn't even know if my guy was going to get into the country or if he was able to get back home, and there's so much stress. And cut a long story short, I lost the fight on decision, and this was all like my daughter was due. Like that week, and she subsequently was born like a couple of weeks later. So having all these things going on, and I just didn't perform to the best of my ability. So I was just like, you know what, that is not. I can't put my name to my performance. And if I'm going out, I'm going out with people that going. That's Nathan Jones. I want to learn from that guy. So my motivation is just to get back out there and give a good account of myself. To the fight was okay, but it wasn't me. Do you know what I mean? And I've got to correct that before I hang up the gloves. Yeah, I've got to go out there.
Some unfinished business.
Yeah, no doubt. Not necessarily a rematch. You know, I don't need to rematch the guy. The guy was very good. Do you know what I mean? Because I only want to fight good guys, and it's got to be a 50-50 fight. But I've got to give a good account of myself, and keep going. I've still got more in the tank, so I've got to stay ready, because when that opportunity comes up, it's the big opportunities that come up. So you've got to be ready and stay ready. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, man.
And I suppose, really, Gav, if you're happy, final question, really, because we're drawing to a close. So what advice would you give to a younger you now, say maybe 16 to 18-year-old you, having the experiences that you've had? What advice would you give to yourself?
I would say do not rush. You've got so much time. And my advice would be to finish your education. Don't matter what you want to do, finish your education, get a trade, get your qualifications, get your experience, whatever it is, finish your education, and don't compromise with what you want to do, because, I'm a fighter, I'm self-employed. If I get hurt, I can't work. If I can't work, I can't pay the bills. Do you know what I mean? So you need something to fall back on. So do that and enjoy it. Trust the process and enjoy it. Go where the wind will take you. It's all good having aspirations, and I encourage people to have aspirations, but you don't need to know where you're going right now. Enjoy it, and the wind will take you where you need to go. And I say that because I started at 23. So if you're 16 now, you know what I mean? Give it to the time you're 23. You'll have so many years on me. I've been doing this for 10 years. So I believe that I've got quite far, and I've experienced so much. So you put those 10 years on top of the years ahead of me, then you'll be laughing, So
your paths change as well. People's paths change, didn't they? That's the beauty. I mean, I've got another 13 years on you, Nathan, and I know certainly what I was doing in my 30s, has changed dramatically to what I'm doing now. So I think, especially these days,
cake and drinking beer now, aren't you?
Yeah, I just poured myself a Jack Daniels and Coke, actually. Nathan, I'll tell you what we forgot to ask you. I need to get this in though before we finish. Yeah. Is what was the bag and tag? I know I alluded to it on the intro, but I've not delved into what it was.
Well, I bag them and I tag them.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
No, on a serious note, well, like on a dead body, you've got a tag on you put a toe tag to identify who it is.
Okay.
So that's where it comes from. Like, I'm bag and tag, and so I'm gonna finish you. And to be fair, it didn't start off like that. But then you look at my record, and I've got a lot of finishes and a lot of first round finishes at that. So I've tried to stay as true to the name as I can. But it started off as a gimmick, and I've just run with it, and there's no other Mr. Bag and Tags out there. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of Nathan Joneses. Yeah, you put Nathan Jones in Google, you get the Australian WWE wrestler who's also an actor. He always comes up. So I put Mr. Bag and Tag.
You want to
Banana Rama as well. Banana Rama, Diana Ross and Banana Rama sang that song. So you type Nathan Jones in, you know what I mean? That's who you're gonna find. So I put Mr. Bag and Tag. There's only one at the moment, and Mr. in front, just to show that I'm in business.
Well, listen. Next time I'm on my laptop late at night, and I've got Bellator on, or I've got UFC on, and all of a sudden, and the next fighter, Mr. Bag and Tag, I'll be sure to look up and go, hey, we interviewed that guy 2 years ago. 10 years
That's
ago,
it.
3 years ago.
Whenever it may be, but it'll be there, man. No problem.
Awesome. Hey, Nathan, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening. Thank you very much for your time. It's always good to help promote up-and-coming fighters, and hopefully you'll get that big fight and redeem yourself from the last one, but something to propel you forward as well.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. I enjoyed that.
Thanks for coming on, mate. It's been great. Take care.
No problem.
All right. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Motivated Martial Artist podcast. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our Facebook group, the Motivated Martial Artist podcast.
And don't forget also the Motivated Martial Artist Instagram page.
So head along for some extra content, interviews, and much more.
So until next week, it's bye from Jackson
and Gavin,
the Motivated Martial Artists.